The year was 2007. A coalition of engineers pulled an all-nighter to create a prototype of a new product for their website. As the morning light peered in, they knew they had landed on something big, a tool with the potential to revolutionize their business. They called their creation the Awesome Button. After months of work, they were excited to launch the button on their site. All they needed was approval from their CEO. But the review didn't go as planned. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, didn't deem the button a worthy addition to the site. He worried that allowing users to like something was a conflict of interest with the more significant modes of interaction like sharing, commenting, and beacon. Just like that, the Awesome Button was dead in the water. However, even though Zuckerberg didn't agree with it at the time, the Awesome Button, later dubbed the Like Button, would soon become so integral to the company that it is nearly synonymous with Facebook. It would change the way we communicate, and it forever altered the way in which we perceive the world. This is the Lightbulb Moment, a Cheddar and Curiosity Stream original series, the show that uncovers the surprising impact of less celebrated inventions and the moments of inspiration that made them possible. Contrary to popular belief, likes weren't invented by Facebook. According to Fortune, the first documented like occurred on November 17, 2005, on the video sharing site Vimeo. However, in that same article, a Vimeo VP is quoted saying that they copied the idea to add likes from the news aggregator website Dig. On Dig, a user could either dig or bury certain posts, allowing users to rank how they appeared on the website by popularity. Before Dig, there was FilePile. Before that, there was Hot or Not and FaceMash. Likes were gaining traction in various forms all over the internet in the early 2000s. While other sites may have done it first, Facebook's like button had the biggest impact on the world because they had more daily active users than nearly any other site at the time. With that scale, every decision Facebook made had to be scrutinized.
Before there was the like button, we knew that the Facebook wall, for example, was how we participate.
When Newsfeed launched, every post you made on someone's wall would also show up publicly on Newsfeed, putting interactions on display for all to see. Even though users were divided on how much they wanted their post blasted across the homepage of Facebook, one thing was clear. It increased engagement and kept people addicted to the platform. That's not to say that Newsfeed was perfect. In fact, one issue that seemed to be running rampant across the site was an overwhelming number of redundant comments that all seemed to say some version of "I like this" or "I agree with this." Leah Pearlman joined Facebook as a product engineer soon after the controversial launch of Newsfeed in 2006. Pearlman noticed and soon proposed a potential solution. Give users a way of showing their support for a post with one click. It would both decrease clutter and make it easy for people to share their support. She reached out to a coworker to design a proof of concept for the button. But upon reviewing the button, Zuckerberg was concerned it would cannibalize the share feature and lessen meaningful interactions in the comment section. After all, if it was so easy to just click something and show your support, why would people spend the time commenting? The like button went back to the development stage. Over the next few months, team members began to view it as a cursed project because it kept failing reviews. The button didn't gain any real traction until December 2008. Itamar Rosen was enlisted to gather hard data on the like button. After 2 months of testing, he concluded that the like button didn't take away from the number of comments and meaningful interactions a post received. Contrary to Zuckerberg's belief, it actually increased the number of meaningful interactions. Likes were used to rank posts higher in the newsfeed, promoting already performing posts to more people, which, of course, increased the number of likes that post received, and the cycle repeated. With this irrefutable evidence, Zuckerberg finally gave the go-ahead. Likes launched on Facebook on February 9, 2009. Though nobody knew it yet, the implementation of the like button on that day would change both the online and offline worlds in irreversible ways.
When Facebook first came out with the like button, people responded decently well. It gave them a way to engage with what they were scrolling through without having to stop and leave a comment. It gave us a way to offer a sense of community or offer a sense of belonging to somebody who might have shared something.
But it also did things that Facebook never saw coming. One immediate and unintended consequence of the button was that it gave everyone on the platform a quantifiable metric with which to compare themselves.
What we don't realize is that we're as much bound by the psychology of it as we are by capitalism. It's telling us also to quantify ourselves through market logic. You put yourself out there and you get an exact number of how valued you are by your community. In that way, it's a really murky space. It feels good to put yourself out there. It then gets curtailed by this sort of attention economy dynamic where nobody might respond or like it or engage with it, right? And in that way, it becomes a competition.
Facebook went from being a place where people were able to connect to being more gamified, like a slot machine. We invested the coins of our time and only felt good about ourselves when we saw our points go up in the form of likes and notifications.
Everybody, whether they admit it or not, strives to be an influencer when they use a hashtag that calls into something. We're all part of the same ecosystem. It's not like influencers exist over here, regular people exist over here. We're all using the same Instagram. So, of course, if I post a story about my dog and I get 2 likes, and a celebrity posts a story about their dog and they get 1 million, there's that vulnerable part of your brain that's like, well, what's wrong with my dog, right? We don't always recognize all of the other social and cultural forces that go into the numbers of who gets liked and when and how much and by whom.
This gamification of the like button spread to other social media sites like Instagram, which allowed users to double tap to show their support.
Initially, when we get likes on something, it feels really satisfying, and it's a little dopamine hit. And so we chase that rush. But there's sort of a law of diminishing returns there. That initial satisfaction that comes from looking at it sort of diminishes, but our brain keeps chasing it. We keep going after that rush.
These rewards feel exciting in the moment, but they have psychological repercussions. In an interview with PBS NewsHour, cognitive neurologist Ofer Tyrell compared it to financial competition. Imagine if every time you go to a bank, you get your balance, but you also see the balance of other people. It will cause most people to feel annoyed or dissatisfied with what they have. And this becomes problematic because, as author Dr. Tim Bono explains, when we derive a sense of worth based on how we are doing relative to others, we place our happiness in a variable that is completely beyond our control.
When we get acculturated into a system from an early age, we come to see that system as normal or natural. So what's happening with a lot of young people who grow up with social media, the like button, the attention economy, they think that that's really natural. It's not inherent for them to question this space. And as that kid gets older, then that engagement becomes part of this quantification of the self. How do I recognize my value? Well, I posted something and it got 100 likes, or I posted something and nobody liked it at all, right? That's going to have real psychological impacts for those people. So rather than blindly let our kids engage with the technology, learn the technology, and then try to retroactively teach them to engage critically, let's start early, because we're handing these tools to kids really early and they're really powerful.
But repercussions of the like button have reached further than the mental health of its users. The like button commodified our interests, entering us into a marketplace without explicitly telling us that it's doing so.
The thing that makes it even more complicated is that self-quantification then later translates to real dollars. The more liked you get, the more then you can participate in this actual economy of advertising. So we're being conditioned to participate in a thing that we don't fully understand.
In the early days of the like button, digitally liking was something users took pride in. Liking allowed users to curate their personal profile to better reflect the image they wanted to present.
And that's kind of one of the pitfalls of the like button. We engage in a way that articulates ourselves without a lot of attention to who's on the other side. We know that, giving our private information for supposedly public good to private corporations is a nebulous space to be in, but we sort of push that aside so that we can engage or that we can feel connected. But we don't actually know how it works. There's no transparency to tell us this is what's happening when you like something on the other end.
You didn't even have to be on Facebook.com to participate in the like economy. Facebook engineers developed the like button to be lightweight and mobile enough that it could be embedded on almost any site. Pretty soon, it seemed like it was everywhere. And even when it wasn't, its trackers would follow you to other sites. In this way, Facebook spread its reach across the internet like tendrils. As long as you were logged into your account in that browser, you'd inevitably see the clickable Like Us on Facebook banner anywhere you went. This is how Facebook became one of the most powerful advertising engines on the web. Companies didn't have to send out surveys or track purchases to try and approximate who we might be and what we might like. We were giving all of that information for free to Facebook. Facebook knew where we lived, who we were friends with, and what we liked. For advertisers, this was a treasure trove.
I don't think most people are logging into their Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, myself included, to think about the larger ramifications of what I like and the kind of content I see. Some of us get a little bit spooked when we have a conversation with a friend about something we want to buy or an activity we want to do, and then it's advertised to us. But they're not so spooked that they stop using the technology. At least that's what broad-scale research has shown on that.
This began an era that Fast Company describes as surveillance capitalism, which is just as sinister as it sounds. Facebook gains information which they can convert into money, and in exchange, users get a curated feed. But even that isn't a spotless exchange, because Facebook's automatic curation algorithm created a whole new problem: confirmation bias.
At least one of their motivations is to keep your eyeballs on the page to continue to be able to advertise to you, because that's one of the main revenue sources for social media companies. So when you're liking things that are political, the cue to them is to show you more things that are like that. And often what it does is once it's shown you all of a certain genre, it goes up a little bit in that genre. It gives you the slightly more radical version of the thing that you've been looking at. And it tends to take you down a filter bubble that shows you only one perspective in a particular fashion and in a way that you can engage almost exclusively with it. That is really problematic when we think about understanding how the political process of governance works.
This particular function led to possibly the largest and most contentious problem Facebook has faced: its hand in potentially altering the course of the 2016 U.S. election.
Facebook has come under fire recently for its role in last year's election.
Officials question how data was used to influence elections.
Investigating Russian interference.
Russia's interference in the 2016 election.
It is no secret that Facebook allowed Russia to undermine and divide our country through divisive online ads.
Facebook's algorithm, dictated by the likes of its users, pushed content that it thought individuals would like, and in this capacity, that meant potentially giving people a distorted scope of reality without any opposing viewpoints. A recipe for disaster, not just for the company or the platform, but for the offline world.
We often want to talk about online life and offline life as though they're separate, but they're not. We can't separate the self into two pieces. And so in that way, this attention economy, this way of understanding the self through likes, this way of expressing voice, whether it's doing good or harm, has become so much a part of how we culturally understand ourselves.
In all fairness, Facebook isn't the only company to fall victim to these issues. YouTube has a track record for promoting divisive conspiracy theory videos if it's left to autoplay long enough. Twitter has been open to the fact that they keep people in a filter bubble, and that's a problem. And even websites like Google that we think are unbiased have their issues.
Sophia Noble wrote a great book called Algorithms of Oppression about how Google misrepresented Black women and Black girls through their algorithm by targeting information in certain ways that was really problematic, pretty overtly racist too. That's not what we want from any of the technology, especially from something like Google that we think ostensibly gives us unbiased information.
But the difference between social media sites like Facebook and a search engine like Google is the question of choice. There are alternative search engines that don't track you and give completely unbiased search results, like DuckDuckGo or Quant. With social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, there isn't really an alternative. The power of these sites comes from the fact that everyone you know is on them. Being essentially trapped on these sites in order to participate fully in our social circles is what allows these companies to accrue large swaths of information on us.
What we don't often recognize is that we are cultivating that bias through what we like. We act like the company's doing it independently of us, but we're participating in this thing. Just in the same way we are their labor force in a lot of ways. No, we're not all sitting there coding for Facebook, but we are their content providers in so many ways. Some people get paid for it, influencers and others. Most of us don't.
Over time, the like button has evolved from a fun and lightweight way to show your support to becoming a way to siphon your attention and commodify your life online. The original creators of the like button have both expressed disdain for how it's changed. Justin Rosenstein told The Guardian in 2017, "It is very common for human beings to develop things with the best of intentions, and for them to have unintended negative consequences." In 2019, Facebook and Facebook-owned company Instagram announced that they would start hiding likes, though the rollout seems to be slow-moving. Adam Mosseri, chief of Instagram, said at a Wired conference that the idea is to try and depressurize Instagram, to make it less of a competition, give people more space to focus on connecting with the people they love and the things that inspire them. But a former Facebook employee who didn't want to be named told NBC that internal research states that hiding likes wouldn't actually hurt the like button. Instead, it would increase its power. If users can't see likes on other posts, they'll feel less self-conscious about posting, thus creating more overall posts and more opportunities to engage with the like button. Individual users would still get a notification for every like received, so there'd be more opportunities to get that endorphin rush.
I don't actually think, based on my research and my understanding of the technologies and what they afford us, that getting rid of the like button is going to help people's self-esteem or engagement, especially when we're looking at young people who are highly affected by the performances of identity we see in these spaces. Because I think what's going to happen is they will find other ways to measure themselves against the images that they're seeing, whether it's publicly or privately.
The most difficult part of social media to navigate is that the onus of responsibility falls completely on our shoulders. While the companies should bear responsibility for privacy concerns, the product that they're allowing us to use is a tool. Like any tool, the like button is not inherently good or inherently bad. It's all about how it ends up getting used.
In some communities that I've studied, specifically those who have gone through some kind of life trauma, the like button has enabled certain forms of connection or feedback that was easy to get and had big outcomes, big material impacts for the people posting. In other spaces, it's done the opposite. It's made people feel that they don't have social or cultural value. So has it made people happier? I don't know. But has it changed the way people think of the self, both in good and bad ways? Absolutely.
The like button disrupted the internet and the world forever. And there's no way to go back to the simpler times before it. The new normal is knowing that every button we press creates a chain reaction in the algorithm. The only method we have for adapting to this more complex internet may just be to like more responsibly.
These tools are scary and nebulous, and we don't totally understand them. And they may not offer us that much in general in our broad engagement, especially if we're prone to just scroll and scroll and scroll. But if we are deliberate with them, they do offer us a way to recognize the voice of others who have maybe been through an experience that we've been through, to share in that camaraderie, to share in that sense of community. And that can be really powerful.